The Albanese Labor government and their Greens and Teal mates really ought to get their story straight. They spend every waking moment telling us that global warming is going to cook us as they run a perpetual fear campaign about climate change to justify their crazy climate and energy policies. But at the same time, they seem to think that it can all be fixed by higher taxes and more government spending. They tipped out another $1 billion today for a so-called low-carbon fuel fund.
Climate change poses an extreme economic risk, and net zero provides us with a very substantial economic opportunity. Can't separate the climate threat from the net zero economic opportunity.
Yeah, what genius. Perhaps this will burn as much taxpayers' money as the exploding cigar of the green hydrogen revolution. All this is, of course, an economic boom for China. As we discussed last night, all this makes us poorer and weaker, and it makes China richer and stronger. That's what you have to get used to in the climate and energy debate. Black is white, up is down, and flood is drought. They tell us it will never rain again, the rivers will run dry, and that's climate change. Then it doesn't stop raining and the dams overflow and we get floods, and they say that's climate change too. They say climate change means the snowfields won't have enough cover for ski season, and then good falls see the ski season extended. They say sea levels are rising, but they don't, and waterfront properties keep selling. And then they tell us again, global warming will see coastal areas inundated, but the beachfront properties get no cheaper. I'm ready to pounce when they fall. They say there are more cyclones, but there are actually fewer. They say they'll be worse, but they're not. They say our maximum heat records are broken, but they forget to mention that's only because they reduced the earlier records, adjusted them downwards. They say the cost of inaction, which is nothing, if we do nothing, it'll make no difference. They say that cost will always be more than the hundreds of billions of dollars they're spending. This is just lunacy, of course, yet it's this lot that say their critics are nuts.
The Liberal Party is run now by this weird collection of cookers and crackpots. And nowhere is that more obvious than when it comes to net zero.
The whole thing is just so damaging and dishonest. I told you last night that one of the ways you could tell the climate risk report was so unscientific was that it failed to mention any benefits from global warming. It was all doom and destruction. Well, that was highlighted in a Senate inquiry yesterday. You see, when it comes to deaths from weather around the world and including here in Australia, there are far more deaths from cold in winter than there are from heat in summer. Even the IPCC reports admit that in net terms, a warmer climate will save more lives than it will take. So National Senator Matt Canavan questioned the Climate Service about whether, as well as generating fear about heat deaths from global warming, they also calculated lives saved from a warmer winter. Have a look.
Did you estimate the potential reduction in deaths from coal?
No, we did not.
Why not? My understanding is more people die from cold than heat in Australia.
We were specifically looking at climate hazards, so it was out of scope for our report.
But if the climate warms, won't there be fewer cold deaths?
We were looking at physical risk from climate hazards specifically, and that transition risk, which has included any changes to do with mitigation, were out of scope.
But this is not a mitigation risk, this is a direct result. Presumably if the climate warms, there'll be fewer people who die because it's too cold. Am I missing something? Or?
That was outside of our scope.
Yeah, good news was out of scope. Brilliant work by Senator Canavan. That's it. That's game, set and match. They are not interested in science. They are not interested in cost-benefit analysis. They are not interested in facts. They are only interested in producing climate fear porn. Shame on them and the government that directs them. It's time the opposition and the public put the heat on the government.